Many industries have had to pivot during COVID-19, including the fitness industry.
But how do you take a brick and mortar business online?
Here to tell us more is Master Tom Adam, who is the founder and chief instructor of Canberra Martial Arts. Good morning to you, Tom.
Morning again. How are you guys?
Very
we're not
well.
doing too bad, although we're trying to keep our distance. So first day
I could do
of
some
lockdown.
martial arts from all the way over here and I still wouldn't reach him.
I can still cop shade from over here though, so it's all good.
Yeah, a bit of verbal shade. Hey Tom, now look, people in Victoria were just starting to get back to fitness and gyms, and now they've obviously had to close again over here. Are you completely open and pumping over there in Canberra?
Yeah, so we haven't had anything change. The only thing that the ACT government have announced is they're delaying a further rollback, but the rollback that they were talking about on Friday wouldn't directly impact us anyway because of the size of our facility and the nature of our business anyway. But I do have a lot of colleagues that run similar businesses in Melbourne and Victoria, and they are absolutely gutted. And
yeah, I can imagine. I think it's just a really hard time. But for martial arts in particular, and running a martial arts club, how have you managed to keep thriving through this crisis?
So for us, we did a lot of planning, and I was actually on the Ticker network before it all went down, talking about what we were planning to do and how we were preparing. And we literally just moved everything that we could into a virtual environment. So the classes went online, the people logged in from home, and look, the people that were engaged with the online program were amazingly engaged. And that's one of the things that coming back, I've had a few people say to me, oh, look, we didn't do it because of whatever reason. And they were glad with the decision. And I was like, that's fine, but you can't compare, because for us, it was an invaluable service for not just people's physical health, but their mental health, because they plugged in, and there's a video of my daughter actually, they plugged in to the classes, and it was the only way that for a lot of them that could plug into a community because they were trapped at home as well.
So, I mean, obviously when this all sort of unfolded, lots of businesses were in your position where they had to move really, really quickly. And I think it's just a matter of just getting it up, making sure it's all happening. But if you could go back and do it again, would you change anything? Or is there anything that you've sort of tweaked along the way?
Yeah, I probably would. There's like little tiny things, nothing exciting, like putting cameras in a slightly different position. Just the feedback that we've had in terms of they look like we're looking down on us as instructors, but I thought it was kind of cool. But just random little technology stuff.
Yeah.
In terms of the actual way that my crew actually delivered the program, it was outstanding. The fact that none of them had run an online program before and everybody switched over within 48 hours was just phenomenal. And the results show, because we had some gradings over the last couple of weeks, and the kids that were there were just you could see that the joy and the being able to reconnect and but being able to see each other, and then they're like, oh, remember when we were online and blah blah blah. So if there was anything I would change, it would literally be a slight change to the technology, but everything else I probably would just run with it as best we can and have as much fun as we did.
Well, exercise I think is a huge part of coping with our mental health. Would you say that running this type of business and maintaining your exercise through this has been good for your mental health?
Yeah, I kind of needed it to keep going myself. I mean, look, as a small business owner, and I'm the president of the local business community as well, and wow. I just saw the mental health impacts on the businesses and my colleagues in the same industry. And there's businesses that have closed around me, and I don't understand. I was in the gutter. I had many days where I didn't want to get out of bed, but I knew that I had to get up and get on with the programs. And people looking back now, people are going, oh, you did an amazing job and thanks for being a rock and all this stuff. And I'm like, oh my God, I was like falling apart half the time. Oh, but I think it's one of those things that they're having that consistency was what they didn't have. And so me and the crew running these classes, consistency was for them that really important thing, that they knew that at 6:15 on a weekday morning, if they went into the email, there's a link, they click on it, it would open a class and they'd have their fitness class and there'd be people online.
Just really quickly, I wanted to ask, when it came to that moment where you were really struggling, what was that thing that got you out of bed? Like, what was the thing that helped you jumpstart yourself? Because I think that's really powerful what you said before. and you were there and you were able to get out of it. And I think there's a lot of people that are still in that situation where they are struggling. So that moment that helped you get out of bed and get going, can you talk to me a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so one of the things I teach a lot of self-defense courses, and one of the things I talk about in those, and this is where martial arts really does translate across into business and your personal life. And one of the things I talk about is when you're faced with a really dangerous or stressful situation, you can't think about why, you can't think about the whole big picture. You got to think about what's next. And so the only thing that you can do is really think, what's next? What's next? So if that's getting out of bed, is the first thing you got to do is, what do you normally do? You get up and whether you go and have a shower, and then you have breakfast, and then you think about what you need to organize for the day, and then you get on with it. And if you just break it down and focus on what's next, you don't get into overwhelm. And I had days like that where you think about, step back and you do the umbrella look and you go, oh my God, I can't handle it. And then you just sit down and go, okay, there's just, what is the next thing I need to do? What do I have to do? And you keep moving along. And then when you look back, you'll have a whole lot of wins. Whereas if you try to think about trying to do everything in one go, you'll fail.
Tom, it sounds like you've approached this like an absolute trooper, and congratulations on pivoting your business online. It sounds like it's been a really valuable asset, and thanks for sharing your story with us this morning.
Pleasure, and thank you so much for having me.